Well, thank you everyone for tuning back in. I didn't really broadcast this, so this was on the fly. Decided to do it on the Chinese Lunar New Year, which this year is the year of the snake. So happy New Year to everyone out there who were born on the year of the snake. So I thought it's fortuitous to start season two of this good new world. As if those that have watched season one will know, the good new world is the nine pillars that forms the foundation of this good new world, which is a holy trinity of a trinity based on art, business, and charity. Within art, you have the new life, the new mathematics, new commandments. Within business, you have new exploration, new collective, new governance, and within the charity, you have the new humanity, new science, and new religion. So we'll go through that eternal cycle. So season two will start with new life again. And this time round, I'm going to use the presentation, which I also created with my partners, world leaders at the Milana Supreme Foundation Association, the Call to Friendship Association that we do every month. So I'm actually using the same presentation that we are creating for that monthly output that we do. So coincidentally or fate has brought us that this beginning of the new year, both in the Georgian calendar, 2025, and this lunar calendar, starting today, is the new life presentation. So I'm going to show the slide that we prepared for the Call to Friendship presentation, and I will use that slide to uh, basically discuss about the actual topic. So you bear with me while I share my screen with the audience. There's probably no audience because I said this was done on the fly, and I think I will keep this format instead of doing it at fixed date, fixed time. I'm just gonna wing it each month with the new presentation to see how I feel, but it will be done. But the important thing is to relay the information to the world. As arrogant as that sound, but anyway, let me share the screen with you folks. So be patient with me. New life. Oh, first I have to open up the presentation. That would help. So okay, so let me share the screen with you if I can find where the screen is. So, okay, so this is the presentation that we created monthly, myself and my fellow world leaders at the Court of Friendship Association, which is Andrea Wen, who's also happened to be my wife, of course, and Linda Zaraya, who's my mother-in-law. And this, we're member number five in terms of your curiosity, what member number five. And this is this month's presentation, January 2025, and it is called The New Life. And we taken the excerpt from one of the book, which in this case is the foreword, and this comes from the English version. The knowledge book's actually translated into many multiple languages. I've lost track now exactly how many multiple languages it's available. The association itself is has association in over 40 nations, but I apologize, I've forgotten how many books languages actually translated, but it is a lot. So the exit that we are associating this presentation, I'll just read it out. During this transition cycle, which is called the resurrection, universal attainment made by means of the cosmic influences cause our planet to make a progress together with the medium it belongs to. So those that are interested, just reach out to the Milana Supreme Foundation about their knowledge book. But these particular presentation comes from my own personal mind of myself and my contributing partner, Andrea and Linda. So the first page, as you can see, is called New Life, Creating Life. So actually, it's actually very difficult to define what real life is. Even amongst the scientific community, there's still a lot of discussion is what is life? Like example, you said, well, that's obvious, right? It's like we reproduce, we eat, we grow, but there's a lot of minerals that can simulate the action of what life is. I mean, and a classic one is scientific community is still debating whether viruses is living or not. Most of the scientific community uh, state that the virus is not a living entity, but where is the line that differentiate the DNA or RNA for viruses against the DNA of single cell organism? So there is a lot of topic that outlines whether viruses and bacteria are they both living? Is viruses a non-living entity, even though it behaves in many respects like a living organism? If it infects us, as we all know from the pandemic, a virus is maybe one of the smallest uh, quote living or non-living entity, but it has an enormous effect on the rest of life, including us humans, of course. So defining life is actually not that simple, but I'm not going to go into uh, how we define that life. I'm just going to assume that, life is like me. I'm alive. Computer that I'm talking to is not alive. Okay, so we'll keep it to that easy differentiation, but that's not the topic of today. The topic today is how life was created. So the origin of where life comes from. So the main scientific consensus is that life became here on Earth around 3.5 billion years ago. The Earth was created from the remnants of the solar system, forming into the sun and into the various planetary objects around 5 billion years. So life came into existence, within about a billion years of when the Earth actually was formed. So life was actually either created in the cauldron or the smoldering oceans, although a lot of scientists now believe that life perhaps was created in under the ocean at the very depth, the volcanic. So the energy didn't come from the sun, but the energy came from the volcanic uh, bubbling of the content. So that was what gave energy to life. And the first molecules, again, most scientific consensus is that actually the organic molecules may well have came from outer space because they found the molecules, the amino acid, all those is actually out there in outer space. So the Spermia theory is that life actually originated from outer space, just like water. Again, the consensus that the water, which is one critical component of life itself, also came from cosmic bombardment that brought the water here to Earth. But anyway, so there's still a lot of debate, but that is the general consensus that life began in the ocean, whether it's on the surface, energized by the rays of sun, or deep in the ocean, energized by the volcanic action from the earth itself that gave energy. And the molecules that created life itself may well have came from outer space as well. So one of the questions that a lot of people ask is, can you get something from nothing? Well, that is actually the fundamental aim. Before life, we discussed where did the universe come from, right? Again, the scientific consensus is that it came from a Big Bang moment, that suddenly there was nothing and then something came about. Now, in the quantum, there's two mainstream scientific theories out there that is describes our existence right now. There's Einstein theory of relativity, which is deterministic, which basically if you know every single parameter, then you can define everything. You can, everything's determined. And then there's the opposite, and that typically describes the reality of the big world, you, me, the planet, the galaxies, etc. But on the opposite extreme, on the microscopic scale, we have the quantum theory. And the quantum theory pretty much said that nothing is deterministic. Everything is completely undetermined. In fact, there's the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which actually permits a virtual particle to actually flash into existence, and then fade away again. So that in principle allows something to come out of nothing. But the problem with that is the Heisenberg uncertainty principle that only happens on the smallest of atomic scale. The universe contains 10 to the power 80 odd particles, and those are particles that bang apart that we can actually observe. Again, mainstream science said actually that amounts to only less than 5% of the known observable universe. Most of the universe consists of this supposed dark energy, which is supposed to explain the expansion rate of the universe, and this dark matter, which is supposed to explain the rapid rotational speed of galaxies. But that, even taking the amount of observable particles, that is very, very hard to describe how that amount of energy particle can come out of nothing. It's not just a quantum particle, unless you believe our entire universe is within the confine of an actual atom itself. There's some theories that postulate that. But assuming that's not the case, then it's very, very hard to describe how our universe can come out of nothing, especially as that violates one of the fundamental principal laws of thermodynamics, which everyone knows is that energy cannot be created or destroyed. You can't get something from nothing, basically. So that is a conflict of modern science and what we observe. But thankfully, I say thankfully because obviously I'm biased, is I came up with the twin universe model, which I arrogantly state one day will win me the Nobel Prize in Physics, not because I state it, but because it's the only scientific theory that can quantitatively and qualitatively explain all the cosmic unknown, including, as I said previously, dark energy, dark matter, missing antimatter, quantum entanglement, etc. I'm not going to go into too much detail of that, otherwise we'll spend many, many hours on that. So you say, well, what is all this got to do with life? Well, one question of life is, where did everything come from? So if we can't first explain where our universe comes from, then it's hard for us to explain, well, the universe has to come first, planet Earth next, and then life, etc. So I'm just sort of trekking backward to describe where the actual universe comes from, and then, like I said to you, then define how life can then be created here, obviously here on Earth. But is there life elsewhere beyond us? That's another deeper thought question, which we'll come on and cover in other future podcasts. So, can we define what life is? As I earlier said, made the assumption that I'm alive and my computer, even though it's doing all the work for me, beaming my podcast to the rest of the world, is doing the hard work. The computer is actually lifeless, So, as I mentioned, it's actually very difficult to define what life is. So I'm gonna try my interpretation. So my physical interpretation is that life has to have a consciousness, an ability to think for itself. Now, can a bacteria think for itself? Well, in the crudest sense, yes. If you shine a light at a culture of bacteria, light activated sensors in the bacteria will actually allow the bacteria to swim towards the light source. Now, is that consciousness? You may say, well, that's a robotic instinct. You shine a light, it goes through light. Well, just like my computer may look extremely sophisticated, but if you look at the very fundamental consciousness of computational uh, bits and pieces that makes the computer calculates its bits and pieces to do all this. It's actually just zeros and ones. It's just little transistors. So fundamentally, if you want to sort of make the analogy, the building blocks of this computer, this artificial quote intelligent, is actually just made of the most simplest building blocks of a transistor that basically fires or on or off. Well, you could define the bacteria as that on and off. Bacteria as the most simplest code goes on and off. And if you look at the origin of life itself, you see that from human to chimpanzee to amphibians to fish to multicellular organism to single cellular organ. Ultimately, we could trace our origin all the way back to the origin of bacteria itself. And even beyond that, maybe bacteria actually did come from, quote, viruses, etc. So, but that's how I would define life. I define life as this computer is not really conscious, is a working mechanical thinking aspect. Yeah, there are it's getting to a point where it's very hard to differentiate whether artificial intelligence is now becoming its own conscious being. But again, that's another topic that we'll cover. But for now, I have a brain that thinks and it allows me to do things, allows me to talk. A bacteria has a consciousness. You shine light, or it reacts to its environment, and it makes the bacteria do certain things. So it has the most simplest of consciousness. So that's why I consider bacteria and maybe in a virus as a living entity based on its conscious state. Okay, so now, so life definition is a physical entity that has consciousness. Two, consciousness as an energy. So even though the brain is roughly 2 pounds in weight, so it's about 15 to 200 is like 1.5% of the mass of a human being, but it actually consumes almost 20% of the energy. So the brain is an extremely energetic entity, just like the computer. The reason why we have fans in the computer is actually to cool the CPU, the processing unit. So even the computer itself, it generates heat. So the conscious brain, in this case, the physical aspects of it, is a very energetic process. And if it's an energetic process, it must obey the thermodynamic laws and force fields principle. Okay, so it is so consciousness is an energetic process. Energetic process, it has to obey the fundamental laws of nature, of physics. I state that, but that's an extremely important parameter that will come back and describe why the universe, later on I'll describe where God comes from, why the universe itself is the ultimate conscious entity. And the third thing is the biological and mechanical. So right now it's relatively simple for us to differentiate that I, as a human, is a biological conscious entity. My computer that I'm talking to right now, to the rest of the audience, is a mechanical operating on binary computer logic. But I said to you, the artificial intelligence that's now coming into is now merging that definition of what is life and what is not life, or what is biological and what is mechanical. And maybe in the future, there will be this merging of biological and mechanical, especially if we want to explore the outer space, because our biological body, the human body itself, cannot survive long term in outer space. So maybe unless we have genetic engineering that can make our body sustain the non-gravity, the high radiation of outer space, or maybe the the quickest and simplest approach is to merge our biological body with a mechanical body that can survive outer space. So anyway, but that's another topic to be discussed. So, as I mentioned to you, the reason why I mentioned the consciousness as a energetic process which obeys the fundamental laws of physics, specifically the laws of thermodynamics, which is a fundamental aspect, is that every process, every energetic process, you could then define that as a conscious reaction. And if every single cosmic energy process that occurs in the whole universe uh, could be described as literally like within my own particular brain, my neurons are firing away. Now, if you look at the cosmic web of all the galaxies and things, there's a lot of people that says, does it seem strange that the entire universe, its structure, its filament, it looks extremely like the neural network of a human brain or any brain, basically neural network. Is that a coincidence? Hmm? Or is that saying is the universe perhaps the ultimate cosmic neural brain? Well, I believe that is the case. And if that is the case, then the cosmos itself is a living entity. In fact, in my book, published book, God book, I go into a lot of details in that. In fact, I even relay the genetic blueprint for God itself. Okay, so, and this is the foundation. Number three, God chromosomal DNA is actually made up of 180 base pairs. So 360 chromosomes, but they're paired into two. So there's another reason why the number 360 is also a very fundamental number. But again, we'll go into that when we cover the mass topics. Now, the universe is a circular cosmic DNA. Now, again, is it coincidence or is it fated? Because that is also the cosmic structure of the simplest life on Earth, which are bacteria, which are also circular DNA cosmic strand. So is it coincidence or is it a reason? You know, you said, God made man or life in its image. Well, maybe that's the ultimate case. Maybe there's a reason why the cosmic structure looks like neural filament. Maybe there's a reason why my definition of the cosmic God DNA is the same structure as the simplest form of life, which are bacteria. So, and I'll explain why this 180 leads to a lot of other fundamental results, which I believe, again, reinforce the idea that the cosmos is indeed God itself. So the four cosmic chromosomes, all life to our knowledge here on Earth and probably everywhere else in the universe, is coded by just four genetic code. Again, I apologize if I get it wrong, AGCT or something like that. Sorry, apologies if I got it wrong. I should have rehearsed that a bit better. But those are the cosmic code of life for DNA. RNA is three of them the same. But one of them is switch. Again, I forgot which one it is. But anyway, this all leads to the formation of what I believe is the ultimate or the single, what I define the single omnipotent consciousness, which is God. So how do we prove that, or how do we make predictions that we can perhaps verify? Well, out of this, sorry, going up and down, as I mentioned, I defined God cosmic chromosomes 180 base pairs. Out of this 180 base pairs is interesting. You can actually calculate, and it's published in my God book, so I'm not going to go into the full detail. If you're interested, just go on Amazon, look at my, type in my name, Leon Ying and God, and you'll find the book and buy it. sorry, plug in my book there, and you'll find all the details in that. But out of 180 base pairs, you can calculate the actual possible quantum particles in the universe, which is 10 to the power 329 state. That is equivalent, again, like the number of neurons that is in human brains. So the number, well, this obviously this number is way more than the number of neurons in the brain. I've got the exact number, number trillions of it, but this is more than trillion quantum part. But obviously, God is a lot smarter than us, because it has more neural network, so you can calculate more, you can do a lot more. But this is literally the neural network of God. It's up to 10 to the power 329, which you can almost define as infinite. Okay. Now, again, from the calculation of that 180 base pairs, I was actually able to estimate the number of state that exists from that, and it turns out to be 10 to the power 82. Now, why is this number miraculous? Because this mirror is miraculous. That's actually equivalent, or not equivalent. That is consistent with the estimated baryonic matter in our observable universe. So again, is that coincidence? No, I don't think there's just too many coincidences. But this is another reason why this new science, this new mathematics, I don't say just believe in it. I'm saying it calculates. That's why earlier I said is the only science that can qualitatively and more importantly, quantitatively, which means you calculate values. So all the theories that I'm putting forth, you can actually determine numbers and prediction, which again, miraculously or fate, matches the observable universe, including, as I mentioned, dark energy, dark matter, missing antimatter, etc., etc., etc. And that's where my arrogance saying I should win the Nobel Prize in Physics, because it's the only theory that describes it all, as arrogant as that statement may be. So anyway, in summary, the twin universe is consists, obviously twin is two. So there's a positive universe, which you and I live in, and then there's the negative universe. And the negative universe is identical to the positive universe, except the quantities are all reverse, so negative value. And you add the positive and negative of same value, it gets to zero. And that's why the two in the universe is the only scientific theory that is also consistent with the fundamental laws of physics down to this basic laws of thermodynamics, which basically says that, you can't get anything from something, or if you're getting something from there, it still has to get to ultimate. So the universe before creation, before time itself, was zero. Then to obey the fundamental laws after creation, it must also equate to zero. And the only way you can accomplish that is through the twin universe, where the positive and negative cancel each other out. Okay. And God's binary fission. So again, the twin universe at the creation moment split it into two. And again, is it fate or is it the existence? But that is exactly how the fundamental or the most basic building block of living organisms, bacteria, actually reproduce. They actually create a cell from binary fission. So again, is it coincidence? I don't think so. So yes, I believe God made life in his image. God is a unicellular organism, the ultimate unicellular organism in the earth, just like the bacterial life itself, the most simplest life form. The creation of the universe, as I say, came from the binary fission that split into two, and that's exactly how bacterial life, unicellular life, also create itself. So again, is it a coincidence? I don't think so. So anyway, that is the end of this presentation. And again, I want to thank my fellow authors, Andrea Wen and Linda Zaraya. And I want to thank the Core to Friendship Association for giving this opportunity to create this presentation that we are now relaying regularly to the rest of the world through these monthly podcasts. So much love, peace to you, and my Clydesdale blessing to you all. So